So
And
people, yeah.
we
So when
we are live
when
now, I guess. Okay, just let me. Yeah, hello guys. Welcome to the Reading Body podcast with my friend Jeremie Passerin. How are you,
hello,
Jeremie?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine.
We are live. Oh, great. So I don't know how many people it's live. I guess. Yeah, one people. I guess it's what the statistics say. So that's great. So not too much pressure. Hello.
It's me, by the
Oh, amazing. Okay, so Jeremy, have been talking before a little bit before the podcast, so we just warm up the conversation, so it's gonna be smooth and easy from now.
way.
And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy with a lot of work and working some extra time. I know,
Yeah.
so yeah, thank you so much for having the time. Um, so first of all, I would like you. Can you introduce yourself a little bit and yeah, where did you started and yeah, a little bit of your career.
Sure. So I started in 2004. My first job was at Dev to Shoot. It's a small studio in Paris, and they were using Softimage 4.2 back then. So I had to learn that software, which I pretty much fell in love with immediately. And I was more like a generalist back then, doing modeling, animation, and then I started getting really interested in rigging and scripting. That's where I met you, Mikael, as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, we met on
Um,
Death to Shoot. That's true. I didn't know it
yeah,
was your first place. When I arrived, you was the supervisor of rigging.
yeah. But you know, it was a very small studio. We had pretty much like no senior guys. We were just a lot of students freshly graduated. So yeah, I was supervisor, but I had not a lot of experience.
Oh, you well, yes. Continue, please.
After that, I went to I really wanted to work on an animated movie, so I went to Pumpkin 3D that was doing the movie A Monster in Paris.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun, and I was still Softimage stuff. So I was an animation TD there, so I was in charge of doing a lot of tools to help the animation crew. Then I moved to Australia, where I worked at Animal Logic on Legends of the Guardians. That's the movie with the owls that nobody has seen.
I see it.
Uh,
I watch it.
you've seen it?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, again, about bigger production. So it was a great experience for me. Then I moved to Spain, where I got the chance to work with you again.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if I should ask you for forgiveness for that one.
That's fine. We were trying to do a feature film there, but the studio had no money. But that was a lot of fun because we were doing tools. We were trying to build a pipeline, and that's where I built gear that was supposed to be the rigging system for the movie. And Elger Mate, the pipeline supervisor there, really was pushing to do open source as much as possible. So we did it. We put everything online, and we got a lot of people interested in what we were doing, which I thought was really fun because we were like 5 guys in a studio in Barcelona, mostly drinking most of the day. But people were calling us to say, "What you're doing is amazing. I want to work with you." And we were like,
Yeah.
"Really?"
It
Because
was yeah, fun times. Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. But yeah, at some
Yeah.
point, they stopped paying us, and that's not something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
can last.
Yeah, but you remember? I mean, in Six Bears, we did like I mean, the team, the technical team that we had, it was pretty amazing. It was Helge, was Antonio, was you. Later came Marco Romeo.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it was
Mario,
a yeah.
Mario,
Yeah,
the team.
Mario also was doing like for stuff and TD.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a really strong team on the TD side, and it was me. That was like the I don't know, the Joker. The-
You are
yeah, I
not.
didn't. Yeah, back then I didn't even code or anything. I was like, I mean, I
I
was
remember.
rigging, but I didn't. I was like more like I don't know, like I remember I was trying to help you like testing stuff on gear on when you was developing, but I think I was more than like annoying you than helping. I feel like that.
I don't remember you being annoying, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So we released the gear open source that got a lot of people excited. I mean, in the Softimage community. I also got a bunch of emails from people who were saying that I was destroying their job because now there is a script that can do that job.
I remember
Um,
you comment that. It was like, what? You seriously? If a script can
yeah,
destroy your job, I don't know what.
you need to
Yeah,
find another job.
yeah. I mean, it's tough to say, but yeah,
I mean, we can talk about open sourcing and why it's
yeah,
amazing a little later, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
a lot of reason why. Then I moved to Paris again, just because I was trying to get a visa for the US. I was pretty sure after Barcelona that my Softimage days were over, so I started to check Maya and try to get back to it, and that's where I started to write M Gear.
Yes, exactly.
You know about that, right?
Yeah, and the people ask me, yeah, because I took over the project after you let down the or stop it, and the people think it's M Gear is because Mikel, but it's not. It's Jeremie
No,
idea, and because it's Maya. M
it's
is for
Maya
Maya.
Gear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not Mikel. Sorry, guys.
But for me, MGear was just to prove myself that to learn Maya and also to prove that all the ideas and all the concept I created for gear in Softimage could be applied to Maya. So I spent like 2 or 3 months recreating gear inside Maya. And then I realized that I had a job at Blur. I was just waiting for my visa, and the job was in Softimage. So I was like, yeah, that's it, Maya. I'm done. Moving back to Softimage. I don't need to learn that software. And I let it down. Yeah, it was the tool wasn't quite production ready. It was kind of working, but needed more testing and finish and polishing on a lot of stuff, which you did an amazing job. I'm freaking
Thank
amazed
you.
because yeah.
I really appreciate that comment. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. I mean, basically, I had to move also to Maya in some point, so I start testing like not open source because it was none that I found, but like some of the commercial available rigging systems, and none was like with the features or the expectations that I had. It was, I mean, there are some really good that they do what they do really, really well, but that was not what I was looking. So, yeah, I just started to dig in on the code because I, I had some experience adding features to the gear on Softimage, so
Yeah.
I was more familiar. And I start like digging on the M gear version, and it was like, I mean, some of the code it's copy paste. Basically, it's from Gear. It was amazing that so much can be transferred, like one to one almost. Yeah,
But
and yeah,
yes. Sorry. Finish.
no, that's the end of the story. I just continue with that.
That's kind of what I wanted to prove, and what I find interesting is the Softimage or Maya. They're just 3D packages, and your knowledge can be applied to one or the other. Uh, it's not about being an expert in
Yeah,
Softimage or Maya. It's about having the right way of thinking and using the tools properly. So that's why I wanted to prove myself that everything I did for Softimage could be done in Maya. And some stuff are slightly different, but overall the concepts are very similar,
yeah,
and all that can be applied.
yeah. I have here some screen captures that you sent me, and I have I don't know where is this one. This is the Softimage. This is your, by the way,
I'll
your
talk to you about that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's not
yeah, yeah.
here. That's the new one.
Yeah,
We'll
but this
talk
is
about
the Maya version that you
that.
have here, like the good example that it's one to one here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in 2012, I finally moved to the US. I get my visa and I started as a rigging supervisor at Blur Studio. It's a very fun studio because we do a lot of game cinematic and edgy animation. You know, we do a lot of stuff that are really fun to do.
Yeah, like this one. I know you. You know I'm in love with this.
I know. And yeah, and last year we did our first. Actually, last year it came out this year. Our first series for Netflix, which is called Love, Death, and Robots. So we did all the creative supervision at Blur, but a lot of studios around the world helped with all the episodes. We did 3 episodes at Blur, 3.5. There's another one we helped with, and that's it. Yeah, and we're having a lot of fun doing those kind of edgy animation, something different. We're trying not to, be too mainstream, and we're doing cool stuff. So it's a lot of fun to be at Blur.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, I know you work super hard. That's must be the not the sunny side of the of the work, but at the end of the day, you have these amazing projects that everybody love and must be very rewarding, I guess.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure because those projects, they are in and out of the studio in like 3 or 4 months. Like the one you're showing right now for Riot was probably like a 4 months schedule. So it goes very fast, and you need to do a really high quality as really fast. But at the same time, you never get bored, because if you don't like a project, well, it's going to be done quickly, and then you're going to move to a like super realistic project, a cartoony one. So we do there's a lot of different styles, which I find very exciting, because some people work on a studio that does just one kind of animation, or they work in VFX for a year and a half on the same movie. I get the chance to work on a lot of different projects, very, very, very nice and very creative, and I get the chance to do very different stuff in a very short amount of time. We do like something like, I don't know, 7 or 8 cinematics a year, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very cool what you do. I really like the Blur style, because you have a lot of, like you say, like different range of styles. It's not like one single thing. That's very cool. And you say like 3-4 months. That is very, very nice timing on the production side. I've been doing advertisement for many years, and it's even shorter. So it's very, very short in, I mean, like maybe a matter of weeks. And then I've been in a long projects that it's like a year or something. So I think that this 3-4 months, it's a really nice balance, even if the balance means a lot of hard work and overtime. But it's,
and that's really the thing with Blur, is that I feel that we are in this perfect in between. We're not a small studio. We have something like 180 people now. We're not a small studio, so we have enough people to do cool stuff. And at the same time, we're not a huge studio, so there's not a lot of hierarchy and company things. Like you can literally Tim Miller, the boss of Blur, who is the director of the next Terminator movie and the director of Deadpool, he sits like 10 meters away from me. He's in the open space. I can go talk to him anytime. He's busy, of course, but and there's not a lot of doors at Blur, and we really work together. And it's really a nice environment, because we're still small enough that it's still, we still talk to each other directly. We don't have this bigger company issue. So I like it. I'm hoping we're not going to get too big, because I like it this way.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like right now, where I'm working at Anima Studio, also it's very similar in a way. Like we have the open space. We are a little less people. We are 140 right now.
Oh, wow!
And and yeah, it's an open space. The director, it's also on the sit with us, and there is only just a little area that is closed, that is more for meetings, where and things like that. But
Mhm.
it's all open, and you can approach to any of your supervisors or boss or and ask directly stuff, and you're gonna get like a direct replay and like straight, like yes, not, or like it's very. I really love the studio. Honestly, it's very very nice. I've been in a bunch of the studios, and for good or bad, I I have where to compare, and I really love it. I've been working at really nice places. Also, I'm not just want to say that everything before was bad. No, because it's not true. It was a really really nice studio. But in particular at Anima, I'm really really happy. Honestly, it's a great
And
studio.
and everybody's different.
Yeah,
It's people. Some people feel better about the commercial work. Some people like VFX a lot more. So it's really about a balance, and the reason why you came in the
yeah,
industry at first. What was your passion?
yeah,
My first passion was animation. I'm a TD now. I'm a very technical person, and I try to support a lot of tools and workflows. But my true passion was I want to do cool animation, and the best feedback I ever had was looking at a really cool animation. And when I asked the animator how was the rig, he said, "You know what? The animation is cool, and it was so easy to do because the rig did exactly what I wanted. All the
oh,
tools I
that
created,
yeah, that's
um,
fantastic.
and
That's
that's where you like that
yeah,
you know
music
I
for your ears when you do so hard. And I mean, you work so hard to get the rigs, and and
yeah
and sometimes you only hear what they don't like, but then you never or rarely hear what they like. It's also appreciated, guys, if you are an animator and you can also say, yeah, you did a good boy, you did it well this time, yeah, thank you. We feel like a little puppies, yeah. But yeah, yeah, I was about to say something else to add, but I just lost my train of thoughts. But yeah, oh, so it's yeah, really nice to have these environments where you can thrive with your colleagues and do nice stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and yeah, I was about to compare again as Anima with Blur. Yeah, we also do like a lot of game cinematics also, but for Japan, like that
Mhm.
it's very it's different the style, and some in-game cutscenes also, and also we do like bigger like projects. But yeah, I feel like yeah, it's very like same spirit, I guess. Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you want to jump on more techie and
Sure.
nitty conversation on the tools and things like that?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Um,
Let's go. Do you see my screen now? Because
yeah, I see your
where do
screen.
you want to start? Do you want to start a little bit with the maybe the Softimage screenshots and move forward?
Show the other one that then I think it's the next tab that you had.
This one?
No, not this one. No, this one. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Uh,
The one
Harvey.
after. So
Uh,
hobby.
sorry. This one?
Yes, this
Okay.
one.
Sorry.
The one with the naked guy.
Yeah, no, it's not naked. It has underwear, man. That's a
Yeah.
very.
Which
It's really you work with underwear on your all your characters.
well, you know.
Wait, or characters doesn't have the stuff there, so it's no problem. It's like they are angels. I guess your character is
um,
full modeled.
So that tool is hobby, and so basically when I arrive at Blur, Blur has been doing a lot of crazy amazing animation before I arrived, and I was very humble about all the work they did, and my goal was definitely not to come there and be like, hey guys, I know better than you, let me show you how to do rigging. And they had a rig builder there. They had a rigging tool that was very interesting, but also very, very slow and clunky and limited in a lot of ways. And so I started writing a new one, and that's the stories of all the tools I created. Is that I never really take ownership on those tools, including gear or anything. It's all those tools. It's the accumulation of all those things that I had the chance to work with in all the different places I've been. So it's I brought my own ideas and I tried to make the tools very nice and friendly. But it's actually in the documentation of gear where I start by saying thank you to all the people who show me the tools and all the workflows that I had the chance to play with. So gear and then hobby are just the results of me checking a lot of different things and a lot of people giving me inputs on everything. So when I arrived at Blur, I found a rig builder that was really nice, but limited. And I thought, man, I need to take gear and I need to merge it with that other thing because it's very interesting. And that's how I built this new one, which is called Hobby. And what I like about this one compared to gear is that it's you see how you have layers of a rigging component
on the right side here. This like explorer thing.
Exactly. So basically, we have like multiple layers of deformers that we can create. So our very basic layer which is called skeleton. I don't know if you can read that on the screen.
Yes, this one. I can make it bigger if you.
But it has all the basic components that we need to build the rig. So it has the spine, the legs, the arms, the heads, the fingers, and all that. And that's a very simple rig. That's a very simple rig with all the basic stuff we need. And we build that very quickly, and we kick it out to animation like in a day. And they can start doing their blocking. They can transfer their mocap on it, and they can start working. When we start the next stage of the rig, which is making the deformations look really nice. So we have a lot of other layers, and if you look down, like you can see names like advanced hands, and I didn't took a screenshot with a lot more, but there is advanced hands, advanced neck, there is all the face stuff, there's a lot of
yes
Doritos for the Softimage users, and we have a lot of extra deformers that get added on top of the rig, but what's really cool, it's because it's layered. We can really work in stages and just send an updated version of the rig with better deformation or new feature. And I thought that was the very cool thing about the rig system at Blur, is that that approach they had. So I started taking what was good at Blur and merging it with my own experience of all the other stuff I've done.
That's really great. That's interesting because I mean, we using a gear at the studio, and we don't have. I mean, it's same design that you did on gear and on the transfer, but the it's similar in the approach. Like we do like a quick rig, but we differentiate in the resolutions of the rig. We publish a few rig resolutions, but the same approach. We have one that we call the basic rig, and we pump it in a day or something, or even less, like depending of the character, and then we add like the final, and we have like couple of like rigs, but it's not in the same asset. So it's we build and publish two separated like assets, or well, in this case, like we go up to four resolutions.
Okay.
But it's the same. It's the building system is the same. We just add new stuff on top.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's
This one is very clean. I mean, it looks like like with this. So each of these squares here, like
It's a layer.
you have UI host. I know that one.
Yeah.
Accessories basic. Yeah. It's very interesting, and yeah, very cool. Yeah, let's continue. Sorry.
So I mean, after that, the mechanic behind it is very similar to Gear, where you have your modules for each component. I call that system now inside Hardy because it was the way it was called at Blur. So basically, you have the chain components, you have the neck components, and all that are separated Python modules that people can edit. So the same way that you could do with Gear, where like you did, like you didn't need to know the whole system, the whole code of Gear to be able to tweak or create new components. That's the same way here, where you don't need to know the whole code to create a new kind of arm or add a feature to the arm. It's fully coded. It's full Python. There's no because I know some other riggers, they have their little components pre-built. They will have like a little file with like an ARM rig, and they will have a script that will import that and position it or whatever. Mine is not this way. It's fully scripted because I think it's the best way.
Yeah, me too. I think. You know what I think is rigging on like if you're taking apart the artistic part, like deformation and appealing and all this, what is like this part, it's more technical, and it's very similar to like software development. When you have like the builds, you develop like the rig, you compile the rig when you build it. So from your scripts to the final like workable software that it's the rig itself, the asset.
And how does it work now in MGear? Because when I was still in charge, every time you were building something, you had to save your weights and re-import them. Do you have something to make it easier now?
No. No, it's getting better. Let me plug a little bit here. So we have this system, and we use the custom step system here, where we can import stuff and so on, and yeah, that's it. It's this it basically is a batch of scripts, but it's object oriented. So each of these scripts are I didn't prepare this. Okay, my links are broken here. Sorry, but yeah, my basically from the same step, you can access to the dictionary that contains all the mgear run. And so you can access for attributes, like variables, like all the objects internally. So it's very similar. But yeah, now you have the import skin you see here. And you need to, where's my menu? To export and import the skin pack and everything. So it's yeah, no, it's not automatic. I don't know how you do it, but you need to save everything in different parts. And
well, actually, with Quickman is I don't delete the joints. I don't delete the deformers anymore.
Oh.
So when you rebuild, it's taking the joints, it's putting them aside, deleting everything, recreate everything, and then it takes the object, the joints, and just put it back where it should be. So my envelope is never destroyed.
Yeah. What I see is like you using like your asset stays on the scene when you build.
Yes.
Okay, I see. So you can re-extract on the fly all the information and reapply it. Yeah, I think the way we are doing it's a little different in a way that we start always from scratch. So and especially with Maya, because you need to keep more your house clean. I don't know if you had these issues with left nodes, and so we just start from scratch every single time. And yeah, it has some advantages, some disadvantages. It's not like everything is perfect, but yeah, I kind of like that you can clean up. But I guess if you have a good housekeeper, like I don't know, like cleaning everything, or you don't
Yeah,
lose the
I see
control?
what you mean. I see what you mean. I mean, it's a little more tricky in Maya because you
Yeah,
have all the extra nodes that are not objects.
yeah.
Uh, it's easier in Softimage because because all those extra stuff are properties of the object. So when
Mm-hmm.
you delete the object, they go away with it. When in Maya, when you delete the object, you're not quite sure what's left.
Yeah, Softimage
So
is self-contained, everything in a, yeah,
mhm.
it's a, yeah, different. Well, yeah, it's yeah, indeed, it's very interesting, and yeah, definitely. Uh, I don't know, because can we
I
talk
do
a little?
modify the pre-bind matrix rather than rebuilding the joints. That's
Yeah.
Timothy.
I see. Yeah.
That's what I do. So when I move something, yes, because the joint has moved,
Mm-hmm.
I need to reset the pre-bind matrix, but that's
Mm,
easy. I have a
I
little
see.
script that says reset pre-bind matrix, and
That's
boom.
cool. Yeah, definitely it's cool. And yeah, regarding the well, maybe we can talk later on that. But because you have, I mean, at Blur, you have a big trajectory on releasing open source stuff, and maybe we should talk a little bit later on that. But yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah, let me just say one more thing with Hobby. So you see that, so I have a little synoptic view,
yeah.
something similar to what we had in Softimage. This one is it's all Qt and it's vectorial, so you can actually scale it and
Oh,
make it as big as you want.
wow.
And if you go to the Maya version of it,
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
so what I want to say about that, it's this tool. It's not the Maya version of it. It's the same tool that runs in both Softimage and Maya. It's the
Oh,
same code that is running in both applications.
so you have a layer of abstraction there to communicate with one DCC or another. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's brilliant. Nice.
So if people are familiar a little bit with what Blur is doing, we have this Python module that we call Cross 3D. I think I sent you a link to the Git repository.
Yes. Let me. Yeah. Yeah. I have it here. The cross 3D. I'm gonna post it on the chat.
And so the version that is online is not up to date. We have made a lot of improvement, but we're gonna update it online very soon. We're working on that actually right now. What Cross 3D does, it's abstracting the 3D software, and we have it working fairly smoothly for Max, Softimage, and Maya. So basically, when you say, hey, I want to create a locator, a null, at that position, we have our own API abstracted that say, well, in Maya, you're going to do it this way, and in Softimage, you're going to do it that other way. So a lot of the code can be then written only once, and then depending on the application, it will do different things. So obviously that doesn't work all the way to the end. For example, like a constraint in Maya is very different than a constraint in Softimage, so you can't really have a one-to-one on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the core of Hobby is fully abstracted. It works in both software, and then the components, the things that are built for each part of the rig, are, I would say, 80% abstracted. So the really cool thing is that I had all my code in Softimage, and I was doing the transition to Maya because we are moving to Maya because you know why.
Yes.
And I had all my code in Softimage, and I only had to remove a few things about constraints, about expressions, and a few things like that, and replace only those parts in Maya. And my rig was exactly the same in Maya. I also had to write my own C++ nodes because that's actually the way I like to do it. You know, I have my own C++ IK solver in Softimage. I have a couple of other solver in Softimage that I wrote, or that I had people helping me writing, and then I just took them to Maya, which was fairly easy. And so I have the same exact behavior in both software. So the rigs are very, very, very similar. A few tricks to make them work in a different package. And the really cool thing is I can export the guide from Softimage as an XML, and I can load it in Maya and rebuild it in Maya.
That's the holy grail of portability on rigs. Yeah, that's amazing.
Because again, the way we work at Blur, we have those very fast projects, and we sometimes reuse characters from other shows. Like hey, we did a guard on that show. Let's just bring it in.
I see.
And with the transition to Maya, I was like, that's going to be a big problem because now every rig is going to have to be rebuilt until we have a new library of rigs in Maya. And so I was like, man, but everything is the same. It's the same rig. It's abstracted. It's the same code. So I created this exporter. So I export my guide. I rebuild it in Maya. I export my weights from Softimage. I have the same importer for weights in Maya. And I just did that. And the character you see in Maya has actually been done this way. I just exported the one from Softimage, and I imported everything, and boom, that was done.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's amazing. And I was just thinking, like, now it's funny, like maybe you start in Maya and animator, no, go back to Softimage, and then you okay, and then you poop, and you change to Softimage. Everybody's
I don't
happy.
really want to do that, but it would be possible. We're actually working on a show right now where so we work in Softimage still. We are working in that transition, but we're not done. So we're working on the show, and we were working with a vendor that does the tracking, the roto and the tracking. And they called us and they say, do you have a Maya rig? And I'm like, well, I don't technically have a Maya rig right now, but let me see if I can do something quickly. And I took my Softimage rig, I exported it, and literally in 2 hours, I had my rig in Maya. And I was like, well, actually, I do have a Maya rig for you. And I give it to
That's
them.
funny. And it was very humble from you. Yeah, let me check it. Yeah, 2 hours later. Yeah, sorry for the delay. You're kidding me? 2 hours. I have a couple of questions. It's one you was talking about the solvers, your nodes. So I was about to ask you before you say it, but so it's very different from the ones that was on MGear. Do you port part of the MGear ones, or they are completely new from?
No. It's the evolution of what was in Gear. I think I did a few changes to the IK. I was never really happy with the softness inside the IK of Gear, and I changed that a little bit. The others are pretty similar, and I created a couple of new ones. I don't know whatever I needed at that time. But it's just the evolution of what I had in Gear and Gear.
That's nice. Yeah. I to be honest, I think the solvers is the way to go for like compact, a lot complex behavior in a very simple node. Like
I agree.
I don't see going back to do everything by nodes, and the people say, but when I need to load the plugin, yeah, you need, but you know how much you're gonna save.
Look at the IK we have on Gear. I mean, it's stretching. It has FK IK blend. It's got the softness. It's got a lot of feature where you can scale the points independently. Like, this is a ton of work to have that in a scene. Like you would need a ton of expression and connections and an object to track whatever. And that would make a rig very heavy. But if you do that in math, and IK is not that difficult to write. So it's just a basic trigonometry. Remember when you were in high school and you thought that you'll never use that ever again?
Yeah.
It's just that, and you can have a ton of crazy feature by doing that directly in the code.
Yeah, this is that's something that you indeed. I have an experience. I asked my teacher once, for what is worth this? I mean, for what is useful this? Like, very honest, and he'd say, when you grow up, you will know. And it was like the most horrible thing, because if my teacher will ask me, what do you like to do? What's your hobby? And I will say 3D because I was doing 3D as a hobby since I was 14. And I say, it's worth for this. And I will get much more interest on math back then than now. But yeah, it's yeah. So if someone has these kids or something and it needs to give a good answer, this is a really good one. You can make games or stuff like this. Yeah, my other question was on performance side. Between Softimage and Maya, because yeah, unless from when I change from Softimage to Maya, one of the things that was not I don't know how to say in English this, but it was not open to talk. It was clear that Maya it's way better handling the rigs in terms of FPS and so on. But how is your experience on that? It was not.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, Maya is much faster. There's no doubt about it. My rig, so the basic rig, when I only build the first layer, it runs about 35 FPS in Softimage, and it runs at 100 in Maya. The full rig, when I have all the extra deformers, it runs at, I would say, 12 FPS in Softimage, and I get, what was that? It was 60 in Maya. And the other day I did the final test, which was with the facial rig. This is like 3 or 4 FPS in Softimage, and I had 20 in Maya, which made me very happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but I mean, no, of course, Maya is faster. I just want to point out that Softimage development has been stopped 10 years ago. So.
Yeah.
Because let's make it clear, Softimage didn't die 4 years ago when Autodesk said that they will stop developing it. It died when they bought it. Yeah. Because I tried to remember the other day what was the new feature that Autodesk added to Softimage, and I couldn't remember anything that was not already in Softimage 7.
Camera sequencer was the last big one. Camera sequencer.
Yeah. Okay, which is
I don't know when I heard that it was because some big studios here in Japan, they still use it for games and they need it. I think was the, but I it's a rumor. I don't know. I heard that like something like that. There was like a request from game company.
Anyway, so yes, I mean Softimage is slower and it's all. I mean it's a good reason to move to Maya. Obviously, you don't want to work on a software that is not developed anymore. There's a lot of things that are better in Maya now. There's a lot of things that are still better in Softimage, but we don't really have a choice. So moving on.
Yeah. I'm. You know what? I think I already commented on the podcast before, but the I have my Softimage license. I have the last version of Softimage, and I still use it for some modeling stuff sometimes. But in general, like I'm not happy with Softimage anymore. Also. I don't like Maya. I don't like Softimage. I mean, I like parts of them, but I'm not like naive and super happy with one software anymore. Because before I only knew one, so I was super happy. It's all I knew was my world. And then you start knowing other places, and then maybe my world was not that perfect. Still, I love it because but.
I mean, you're right. I think that's a big deal. Pretty much all the best riggers I've met knew more than one software. Some of them, they worked with Max or they worked with. I have a lot of riggers in my team that come from Rhythm&U, and they have their own. They used to have their own
Voodoo. I think
Voodoo. Yeah, they had their own software, and so when you talk to those people, what's really cool, because they know more than one software, is that they have a very open mind about how to solve a problem. It's not like, it's the way you do it in Maya. Well, what about trying something else? Like, what about it doesn't have to be this way, or maybe we can create a custom node or create something that's easier. And I don't pretend to be a Maya expert. I'm working on it now to finish the transition. and I lack some knowledge about all the best way of doing things. Even when I port my rig, I feel like I'm not doing it the right way. I'm gonna have to change a few things. But what I love as well is that I'm not constrained by, hey, in Maya you have to do it this way. You have to use that thing, and I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna use whatever I want. Is that okay to swear? Can I swear?
I don't know. Yes, I guess it's. I think I did it, but yeah.
I swear a lot, so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. For me, it's perfectly okay. I feel more comfortable when you swear. It's like, oh, at home.
Okay.
But yeah,
I can tell you that the riggers next to me can tell you that the thing I say the most at Blur right now is probably putain Maya. Every time I have a bug, every time I can't do what I want immediately, I'm like, and then I realize, okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah. No, it turns out. And you're working with 2019.1. We're still on 2018.6, no 5. Yeah, I think it's 6 is out. And yeah, that's one of the things that Maya, you don't touch it until update 3 or less.
Yeah, I was using 2018 like a month ago, and 19 came out, and I had a lot of stability issue in 18. I was testing the performance of the rig, and I'm telling you that it's running at 60 FPS. But for some reason, I would hide an object and unhide it, and it would run at 30 FPS. And I had no information, and there was nothing I could do to get it back. I had to close the scene and reopen the scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is driving me crazy. And I tested 2019, and they fixed a lot of stability issues, the parallel vibration, and now it's very consistent. I get the same FPS all the time. So that's why I moved.
They fixed some stuff on the 0.5 or 0.6 that I heard. Somebody told me. I didn't read one by one all the bug fixes. And I think there was a memory leak on the VP2 on one of the versions, and maybe it's that. Because you high show and VP2 is not it's not flashing the cache or something. I don't know how it works. And yeah, the 2019, what you have really nice is the playback cache thing. Still, I think it's really great, but little configuration is needed. Like if you use it out of the box, like pushing the button and just expecting that everything cache, you may go out of RAM very quickly, at least for my test.
The geocache in 19 you're talking about? Sorry?
Yes.
I tested it but very just for a couple of minutes, so I'm not going to pretend I know everything about it. But I was actually surprised because in some of my tests it was slower than my rig. My characters, and you mentioned it before we start streaming, yes, I use heavy geometries. I have a lot of points on my characters, so the caching is bigger. But I was still surprised to see that the geocaching was actually slower than a properly multi-threaded skin cluster. So
that's the thing I was saying. Like you need to configure it, and there is a lot of I don't know how to call it, like evaluators that you can custom and make evaluator by scripting it, that you can ask to cache very specific things, and then you start to get a lot of advantages, and your RAM is not consumed that fast, because once you consume your RAM and you start to flash in and write in again, it becomes like slowdowns, and when it's working, you don't. It's really, I mean, it's really useful. But as soon as you have these hits because your configuration or your machine or whatever, it starts to get slowed down on, because it's very new, and especially I was thinking from the point of view of animators later, they're not gonna understand what's going on, and they're gonna see like it's slowing down, and so. But I think it's very, very, very powerful and very smart, because
no, it's definitely an interesting feature. Pretty much like everything in Maya, it's going to take probably 2 versions for it to be really solid.
Yeah,
I mean, parallel evaluation was a disaster in the first release, and now after 2 more releases, it's getting pretty solid. But so I guess it's going to take a little while to.
But yeah, it's a way to go, because I mean, there is like the facial. I guess, at least for me, or I don't know how you do it, but mine has like a ton of layers. That is no way you can parallelize that. You need to find another method.
Yeah, I've started running some tests on that. We are experimenting with a few things right now, because I'm the same way. I have a lot of layers. I have Doritos. I actually have 5 layers of Doritos.
Nice, 5.
Do people know what Doritos are? People who don't use Softimage?
It's I call it tweakers. But if you check the mgear code, where is the tweakers module, I have the function that creates the prebind matrix connections is called Doritos Magic.
Oh, okay.
Or the comment, I think I changed it because it was not like very professional.
But
I think the comment is still like where the Doritos Magic happened or something like that.
Basically, you have a joint that is attached to your mesh, and it's following the deformation of the mesh. And if you move that joint, it's adding the deformation. And to avoid the double deformation, we just connect the prebind matrix to a reference. But anyway, so yeah, so I have 5 layers of that in my rig. It's part of the thing I'm actually testing right now. So the parallel evaluation works, I think, pretty well. We actually with my TD, we're working on a way to flatten that layers of those layers of skin cluster. So in the end, in the final rig, we only have 1 skin cluster. There's a few tricks there. It's still pretty new. We'll show stuff when I have stuff to show.
Yeah, sorry, I was searching quickly on Google on the Doritos Skin State, the original post that comes the name from. It's Steve Caron. It's a post, but the blog, Softimage blog, still live, but the images are gone.
Okay.
Yeah, Steven Caron did this in, my God, it must be 2007. Times fly. Yeah. Cool. And more stuff. You saw me some images also. You have also reproduced some of your favorite tools on Maya, like the weight editor.
Yes. Yeah, that was one thing that was driving me crazy. Is I need to see the weights. I can't just paint. I know some people are fine with painting only, but the level of precision when I do my weights, I need a table. And at first I was using the bonus tool. You know, they have a weight editor there.
I know they do that.
And it was okay. I sent a lot of feature requests and some bug reports, but the answer I got was like, we're not really working on it. It's a bonus tool. So I was like, well, we'll see. And then I started talking about that to one of my rigger, Guillaume Babin, and he started coding a little something. At first, he had some performance issue, and then he found a trick to read the weights and write them very, very, very quickly. And with the help of Tyler Fox, I promised those guys that I would say their name because they did a freaking amazing job. So those are the real heroes. This tool, the weight editor, I didn't write it. It's my rigger Guillaume who did it. He even kept the Softimage colors, the gray background, just for me. And it's amazing. And because now it's our code, we can even add all the features I was actually missing in Softimage. So we're gonna open source this one as well. We're gonna put that online in the next couple of months.
That's great.
So,
maybe we can talk a little bit if you want. Go to the open source thing, because you're gonna it's gonna be open source everything in in the future,
Yeah.
or how is gonna be your? I mean, the planning on that. You.
So I'm very into open sourcing. You know, when we were in Spain together, and Elgo was pushing to put everything online, I
Yes.
was, well, I'm not quite sure why I should give away all that stuff. And But I was okay with it, and we did it, and I thought it was amazing because I told you, like, we had people from all around the world that started talking to us about wanted to work with us or wanted to participate and add something to the tool, or even like sharing ideas and giving feedback. And
Yeah.
it blew my mind, you know. And suddenly, you know, someone told me the other day that I became famous in some way,
Wow.
which I thought was really a weird way of saying it.
Yeah.
But just by sharing some of the stuff we did. And one thing I use it for, it's to push myself. You know, once you have built that tool and you give
Yeah.
it to everybody else, you have to find the next one. You have to find the next idea that's
Yeah.
gonna take you to the next level. And so I'm very in favor of open sources
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I think it has many advantages. For me, one of them, it's like, for instance, just the people using it and giving you the feedback and his ideas. It's very useful because the time that you spend just searching for bugs, it's
yeah.
it's precious. And if you have people just using your tool and say, hey, it's broken here, or it doesn't work there, and this is just like a big help only for that, only alone. And then of course there's other things that you get help now. For M Gear, at the beginning I was myself when I took the project from you, and I was doing well. It was open source, but I was doing it on Gumroad, and I was doing like it was not like really open source. I mean, the code was open source, but not the repository.
Yeah.
And since it gets some, like, it was starting to be used in some other places, and I think it was a little more than a year ago. I decided to do it more properly. Like, and I did. I remember I contacted you to get the logos, the original logos,
Mhm.
um, and everything. And I did the website, and I put it everything in GitHub. Also, I had help from Marcus Otoso, Otoson. I think he helped me, or he mentored me a little bit to change the code to like more clean, Pepe. I mean, I did a
Mhm.
full refactor of everything and I put it all like very visible. And then little by little, some people like Jerome, Rafael, Tokelele, um, Chris, and some others, slowly by little, they are helping me, or they are joining the team, and we are more developers working together on that. So we are not. Indeed, I changed the licensing. I think also I commented to you. So if you check
Yeah.
the soft
Yeah.
MGR license, right now it's say like you and me from this year to this year, and then it's the MGR dev team. So the credit is to the team. It's not to us anymore. Sorry.
That's
But it's still, I mean, we still have there.
again. I mean, I told you, like, it was in the original documentation of Gear. Is all the other people who did not work on Gear but share their experience, and I can give you some names like Benjamin Mallard from Dev to
Oh,
Shoot.
yeah, Ben. Yeah.
We worked together on the first rig builder of Dev to Shoot, and he was like, he's the guy who kind of inspired me to do coding. Alim Negadi from Pumpkin 3D. When I moved there, they had their modular rigging system, and that was the first time I've seen like a kind of an object-oriented one, and with all the modules and all that stuff. And I learned so much from him. So he's credited for Gear because I learned from him, and same with the people at Animal Logic, like Alois. I get the chance to play with the tools, and I left, and I tried to recreate some of the stuff.
You should pass me the names again on later after the podcast, because I will add it here on the authors and the forks and contributors, because I try to keep track of everybody is making a pull request, but maybe the old names have been lost from the licensing since I changed it. So I would like to recover that.
That's And again, they never worked on it, but they share their ideas, and I had the chance to play with their tools, and I got ideas from them. So they deserve credits on all those tools. And
it's with Ben. I've been talking with Ben recently. We was almost to work together in a project here, but it didn't happen finally. Because like production circumstances. But we was talking a little bit that, And I know Halim, it's using MGear, I think, because he posted some stuff on the forum.
Yeah.
It's very
back to the originals.
It's so thank you guys for that. I didn't know that. I do remember you put some like thanks to some people, but I didn't remember the names, honestly. Sorry.
No worries.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. And the other thing I try to keep is Medix Dumont. I think there's some people giving donations for. You know what? Because the other day, you see here, there's the link. So the other day I was checking my LinkedIn. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But in LinkedIn that you have the people to watch your profile. Well, if you pay, you can see everybody, but if you don't pay, you see just the names. And some people from Medix Dumont was checking my profile. I don't know why. But I guess was they receiving money, and maybe someone did a comment that it was because, I don't know. I hope it's like that. I like to believe my little story.
They are good people, so you never know which organization you should donate to, but I know people there, and they are truly people who use every penny for the right thing. So that's why I picked them. When I started that, people were asking me, "Hey, can I send you money for gear?" And I was like, "No, that's not the point. But let me find a charity that I like." And then so I opened it, and I put a link on the website, and and you can give because of gear, and nobody did it. Nobody did it.
Oh, really? I have to say, when I had on the Gun Road, I was for free, but some people gave it some money, like some donations, and I took it happily because just to pay license and like expenses was was a good help. But now I don't take it anymore since I moved to more like a team, and it's hard to manage these organizations like this. So I just
and you do a lot of that in your free time, I know. So I don't have a problem with that. I wrote gear. I was being paid in Barcelona to write this open source software, so I didn't feel like I needed to be paid again by people. So,
but it's still like I it's not the purpose, and I like that. But if you want to sponsor Gear or other open source project, we are open to, maybe if you like, I don't know, like for instance, like a brand that does like computers or something, and you can lend laptops for the developers and things like that. That's a cool stuff. So it's not money, but unless the main core developers, we get some goodies. Why not? But I do also now all the development at the office, so I don't feel like getting anything. It's the right thing, like especially money.
And just to finish on the open source thing, so I got the chance that Blur is also very much into open source. Blur was very famous for some Max tool that they released back in the early 2000, and you can still find on the You sent me the link the other day.
Yeah,
It's
it's
you can find the blur
blur
tool.
open
Um,
source. I think
and
I type it like that. It was the second one. Yeah, this one.
yeah, and you can download Hobby there. Hobby is in there. No, that doesn't look right.
Oh
Which one?
no, wait a second. At the blur tab, this one.
Yeah. Hobby is in there already, but honestly, it's such a pain to install that if you manage to install it, then man, you deserve the code. Like you can take
I
everything.
I
Uh,
did install like, but it was more like than a year ago. I tried just to sneak around, like to be to not sneak. I don't know, like just to explore a little bit.
sure.
And I managed to install some of the tools and make it work, but I didn't know how to use it. It was like I don't know how to use it. This and Herbie, I didn't manage to open it. Honestly, there was a lot of pointers to like
Oh,
blur paths and things, and I ended up like very like okay, I cannot make this work. But yeah, I found out, for instance, the code for the synoptic that you have with your SVG, the vector thing.
cool.
Yeah, it is there. Yeah, I know, but I didn't. Uh, I didn't like dig that long. It was like maybe a couple of hours, and then okay. But yeah, if
But so
yeah,
we're working on a better version of open sourcing. We're gonna have like some nice Git repository, and we've been talking about that for ages. But now we have a pipeline supervisor at Blur that is really pushing for it. He was actually asking me this week to package Hobby properly, and I
yes,
just I just didn't have the time. But it's coming, and I want to do the same for the weight painting tools that we have created. There's another one called Simplex, which is already open source,
yeah.
which
You send me
is
the link. Yeah.
yeah, that's the one that's the one with the tool that you had open with the facial rig. Not
The,
this one, this one.
yeah.
Simplex is our blend shape combination tool. If people remember BCS, it's our version of it. It's much more powerful. It's got a nice UI, and it can do a lot of crazy stuff. Our facial rig is done with a lot of blend shapes at Blur. Uh, and this is the tool that is driving all that, and that code is already open source entirely. This is Tyler's Fox work. When he started at Blur, I talked to him about this workflow, and we worked on it together for the past 4 years. But he's the mind behind the whole technical stuff, and he did an amazing job on that tool. It's been a game changer at Blur in the
Wow.
way we're doing our facial rig.
Yeah, this is. I also installed this one. This it's fairly like easy to install, honestly. But I didn't. There is not. Unless last time I checked, was not documentation or not too much,
Yeah,
and it was very hard to understand what where to start. So
I
that
get it. Yeah,
yeah. So but yeah, it's like you say, like CVS, like combination plane shape system is like the stands
yeah,
for. Yeah. So this is the same techniques they used like Weta on Gollum back in the days, and it's still up
yeah.
to now. No, like
Yeah, and so we started building that tool, and maybe 2 years in the development, we actually hired a facial modeler from Weta, and he gave us a lot of ideas, and he was really on the user side of the tool, and he made that tool 100
uh,
times better.
yeah.
His name is Clay. He's an amazing facial modeler, and so his experience plus the brilliant mind of Tyler Fox, uh, we created this really cool tool for blend shape modeling and combination system.
Yeah, that will be. I mean, if uh, maybe you can in the future do some documentation or maybe a little video. Maybe we can invite them and talk about only Simplex one day, and they can make a full demo. That will be amazing because this is a tool that I mean it's there. It's top tool, and but nobody knows how to use it.
I
So
know, I know, I know, I know.
and
But
it's a pity, honestly, because it's a I I want to use it, but that's the real. Just want
I know. No, I get it.
to
I
do.
get it. And I was
Yeah.
talking with a bunch of friends, in other studios. I had a friend at Illumination and another friend at Sony, and they were telling me some of the issue they had with their blend shape system.
Mhm.
And I told them, hey, we have a tool.
Uh,
Just take it, use it. And but the same thing, then they came back and say, well, I don't know how to use it. And I was like, I don't have time to show you. So
yeah, that's a yeah. It's from. I mean, I know documentation. I'm Gary. It's never finished, and I do like these YouTube videos that are like very rambling, long videos. But yeah, it's not yet there.
uh, well, we'll try to work on that when we release Harvey and the other tools. I'll try
Yeah, but
to.
it's gonna be very cool. And you open on once you open source, you're gonna be open for collaboration, like external collaboration, or you just gonna want share, but you're gonna like you looking to create a community around the tools to build up
Well,
on your tools, or you just want to share, but you have your own like agenda on this, and you're
no,
gonna
I mean
continue.
we'll see. I mean I don't have any expectation really. Just because if it's people will use or not the tool, and if someone uh, send a pull request with something cool, then yes.
Mm.
But I'm not going to start asking if people want
Mm.
to take care of one part or another.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
If we'll see. I have no idea.
Yeah, we should talk on that also, because like after the podcast, because yeah, I'm very interested to make more collaborations on development with other studios, like with
Yeah.
Engear or with Harvey or whatever it comes after, you know.
One thing that is sure and is I haven't checked really the development of M Gear for a long time. So
Uh,
I know you've added a ton of things that are pretty amazing and that could be useful for me as well. But yeah, I mean, when I release my tools, it in the best world, I would love for you and I to merge all that into a even better super
uh,
tool
yes,
or a set of tool
yeah,
that we
yeah,
could.
yeah. We call like Super Saiyajin tool, like the Dragon Ball.
But yeah, but the idea
Yeah,
is
who
to make
knows?
the best
Yeah,
of.
but I don't know. I mean, the code base probably is very different. But yeah, there is some tools. I know a part of the rigging system. Uh, if I can recommend you one to try from MGear that you may find very useful, it's the RBF manager that Rafael did. It's
Uh, yeah.
this is very useful. Now I don't do like expressions. I don't do set driving keys. If everything is RBF everything.
Okay.
And it's to move
Um,
like not the for plane shapes. It's more like for instance cloth and stuff that you have on your character, like little props that you need to move when you move the shoulder, and it needs to have some automatizations.
mhm.
For that, it's perfect. It's amazing how easy it becomes your life with that. Like you have a little prop attached to your parts, and normally it was different techniques, but with RBF you move the arm up, put this here. When you move the back, put there, and you do a little range of motion, and you have like maybe 90% of the poses cover. And then if you need to add more, you can add it. And this is working on top of the RBF solver from Ingo Clemens from the Shapes tool developer.
Mhm.
So that's also open source, the solver itself. So and
Cool.
yeah, and it's C++ the solver, so it's
Uh,
really fast.
we have something similar in a hobby.
Oh,
We have
oh,
a
I talk too
we have
fast.
we have a couple of solutions for that, including RBF solver, and we also for blend shape correction we also use it in combination with Simplex with that blend
uh,
shape tool because Simplex do combination of shapes. So
mhm.
basically, when you do corrective shapes, like
Yes.
I understood that you were talking about moving props around, which is super cool, and we do that too. But when you do corrective blade shapes for like a shoulder or something,
Hmm.
you know how sometimes it's crazy the amount of shapes that you have to create.
Yeah.
Like you need to create, I don't know, like 30 or 50 just for like for the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But Simplex being a combination system, what we do is that we create like 4 or 5 key blade shape,
Mm-hmm.
and then we work on the combo of the blade shape. So it's
Mm-hmm.
this blade shape plus this blade shape, and we just have to do a little tweak.
Yes.
So it's pretty cool because it makes you have to worry a lot less about keeping your blade shape consistent so that you don't have any wobble or anything weird.
Yeah.
And you can at any point you can add those corrective blade shapes wherever you think it's needed, and it's very smooth. We use that on a Spider-Man cinematic. Because Spider-Man is a crazy character. It needs to have all those crazy poses that your rig is never going to be able to do. And it was really nice.
Yeah, definitely. I want to check. I will check it after right now. But yeah, if there's a documentation coming, or maybe we can arrange another podcast with your colleagues, it will be awesome because yeah, it's gonna be. And for sure, we can make another podcast in the future when Harvey and all the tools are released and you have a little spare time again. So I'm feeling like I'm abusing you like a lot lately. On time.
Yeah, it's always nice talking to you.
Yeah, but it's really nice, and I love share this with you, like all these little things and this talk, because it's I mean, it's like many things I don't know, like, oh, that's a good idea. Many things is like I'm doing, but I'm not sure I'm doing it right. And yeah, listening other people using similar techniques, and it's very like also reaffirms that, oh, okay, I'm doing probably the right thing.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm the same. Yeah. And you know, I mean, I just love talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure nobody's listening to us, but
yeah, there's some people.
I just like talking about it.
I mean, we are. Oh wow, we just passed the hour very quickly. Wow, it was fast.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't mind to continue a little bit if you feel like it, but yeah, it depends. If you're busy, we can just maybe we can. Yeah.
I have a little more time.
Yeah.
If you have.
Yeah.
What are the other screenshot I sent you? I forgot what else.
Let me review. We have this. This is the tool. This is what.
This is the weight painting tool. So it's very similar to the Softimage one, plus a few cool stuff. People told me to use NG Skin tool, but
I did.
I think this tool is better.
It's. I don't know. I don't know your tool. I think NG Skin tools, it's very great. But also you can do a lot of nice stuff like that is not even meant to do. I should make a video on that tool, like, or something to show like little hacks and workflows. I will say workflows on the how to use the tool the way that is not meant for. Because it's very flexible. Honestly, I really like it. But yeah, if you when you open source it, I'm gonna jump on all the tools, and I will try for sure everything and let pick and choose what it fits. So you know,
the weighting tool, we should be able to open source them fairly quickly and easily because they are not really attached to our workflow at Blur. Hobby is always a little tricky because I also added a few features that are connected to our database and how we do things at works. So I need to put them on the side. So I have a little work to do to make it very work for everybody and not just for Blur. Those tools, the weighting tools and the weight table tool, they should be very easy to do. Yeah. This is also Guillaume Babin tool. He did all the weight painting tool. You see, that's an example of a Maya developer, a Maya guy who arrived at Blur, and I show him Softimage. And his first month was like, well, Maya is better. And then he's like, well, actually, Softimage is, actually, wow, that's pretty cool. Oh, and you can do that? And then going back to Maya, he's like, oh, well, I see now. Well, yeah, we're going to need those tools. We're going to need a new weight painting tool. We're going to need a new weight editor and all that stuff. And he coded all that stuff. And he did an amazing job. Those tools are awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Yeah. The what's your what ex-colleague of yours Miller. I don't remember. His nickname on the GitHub it's Il Mill. Mill,
Oh, that's Travis.
Travis Miller. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It did also like a painting tool. Really, really nice. Didn't never release it. I had a chance to try it on beta a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really cool. I don't know what happened with the development. I guess it's run out of time or something. Do you saw?
Probably.
Do you saw his
I, I,
tool?
I tried it once as well, and yeah, it was very promising. He told me that he had a lot of issue with I don't know. He probably had a bunch of bugs that he hadn't solved at that time. Maybe it's finished
Mm.
now. He's at Blizzard now. He's a TD there.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm sure he's doing cool stuff for them now.
Yeah, yeah. If you're listening, Travis, yeah, release it. Release it. Okay, let's continue with images. This is Harvey, bigger
Yeah,
screenshot.
that was
And
kind of just an example of one of the components. And my approach to rigging, to rig builders, is to have those components and make them as flexible as possible. So it's a chain, but it has a lot of extra options. You can make it IK or FK or IKFK. You can have a dynamic, the spring that you have
yes, yes, yes.
in Softimage. I still need to find something for my eye. I mean, I have code to do it, but I haven't implemented it. I know you can do it with like the hair stuff, but I don't like that.
I check it out. And I'm here. I did a little simple spring solver, very simple,
Okay.
and yeah, it's not. Maybe it give you some ideas. I don't know if it's very good, but yeah,
Yeah, I'll check it out.
yeah,
But so the idea is to make those components very procedural and flexible, because this way you have one component that you can build in a lot of different ways, and I like that approach because it makes your rig really powerful. You need an extra feature. It's just like when an animator comes to me and say, "Oh, I need the fingers to be IK because he's holding a pen or whatever." Literally for me, it's like I click a checkbox and I
yeah,
rebuild it and I send it back and I say it's done.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that is the beauty of the approach.
Yeah, that's. I mean, this is something was on Gear before, and yeah, obviously it's not in Gear, and I think it's the way to go. You need to give much as flexibility as you can. You don't need to put every feature from the beginning if you don't need it, so you save.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you never close the doors for adding
And
stuff.
in this way, you have your components that can be used for stuff you haven't thought about yet. You like your spine, you can build it in a certain way that maybe suddenly you use it for something else, like for a prop. Or so you try to think about what you have in your rig and how you can separate them in a way where it's giving you more tools to play with, more options.
Yeah, and one thing that also like this approach is very powerful. It's to, well, yeah, like you say, to change the stuff. Like if you need to change something, or even to bug fixing the stuff. Like you may find situations where you are like halfway done with all your characters, and then you realize that there is a bug on your component or in Maya that you need to work around somewhere. And if you need to start from scratch everything, it's I mean, it's not no way you can do it. So if you have these components that you can rebuild and change the base code and add this change to all your characters at once, it's the only way, I guess, in production to go.
No, totally. It's if honestly, if you're a rigger and you're not using Python yet, you're not coding, then it's the really the next step for anyone, because this is opening so many doors. This is making you 100 times better. There's a ton of rigs that you cannot do if you don't code. And if you don't take this approach, without building, you don't have to create a whole rig builder. But just in the way you work, if you're not capable of automating stuff and rebuilding some stuff, you're going to be very limited in what you can do. So So to me, it's pretty critical. I understand juniors that don't code immediately and try to learn how to do good rigs. But if you want to become a great rigger, then you have to. It's the only way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think rigging it's a nice balance between art and technique, and also technique is an art. I think by itself, it's a very legit art. I think the art of coding. But it's
the two things I look for inside the demo reel. When people send me the demo reel, like you don't have to show me that you can do an IK or that you can your character can move the fingers or like that kind of things. Like when the person is playing with his rig for 3 minutes, this is just freaking boring. What I'm looking for in a demo reel is that the person can do good deformation that have appealing characters. So the first mistake is if you show me your rig with a shitty character that you've modeled yourself. You don't have to be a modeler. I don't care. I don't care that you model, but go on TurboSquid or ask a friend of you who can do modeling and get a geometry that looks nice.
Yeah.
And then do some nice deformation, make it look pretty. Show me that you can pose your character in some appealing poses.
Yes.
And I'll be like, this guy, he cares about the quality.
Yeah.
I don't care about the technique so much because I have a rig builder. You come work for me. You're gonna have tools to make it the way I want.
Yeah.
But I need to make sure that you know what good deformation looks like. Yeah. And then if you can code and I see that you can build even small tools, like show me that you have a small tool that does just do a small simple thing, I will see that you have the interest and you have the mind that looks for how do I not redo the same work over and over? How do I expand my skills beyond what I can physically do manually? And if you have these two things in your demo reel, then freaking come talk to me because I'm looking for it.
Totally agree with that. The other day, a friend of mine, Iker de los Mozos, he posted on Twitter like some like kind of things that he checked when he saw some reels, and it was really also interesting what he pointed, and also funny in a way because it's very very funny. Yeah, but it was also true. Like it's completely complements what you say, and that's the way. Yeah, I have. Okay, let me. I was taking notes. Let me check my notes because in the people in the chat, if they want to make any question, you can do it now. It's now or never, I guess. We're gonna wrap.
Yeah, it's been long. Everybody's gonna log out soon.
Okay, so Chris is. Yeah, this is the one I was. No, is this one? Chris, the one I was talking about, the demo race. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, thank you, Chris, for sharing.
Yes, please don't do that. I hate those demo rails.
And then, okay, let me check it out. Yeah, I sorry. When we did our introduction, I missed something I want to ask you because last time I checked on your LinkedIn, you're not rigging supervisor unless your title it's like technical supervisor.
I'm officially the head of technical animation at Blur.
What means that? Sorry.
That's just a fancy name, so I can get more money.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm also in charge of character effects, cloth and hair simulation.
Oh, I see.
But so the thing is, I have a CFX supervisor. So I'm helping him, managing the team, the resource, the workflow, and all that. I'm not involved in the production work really that much, but I'm helping him at a higher level. Basically, the story from Blur was just that the class department had some issue. They were doing a lot of overtime and they couldn't do as much work as we wanted. The rigging department was going pretty well, and so they asked me if I could go and and help see if I can find ways to make them more efficient or anything. And at that time, there was nobody in the class department that could code. So that was the first thing. I was like, well, yeah, for sure, that's gonna be a problem. And so I tried to come and help them, to standardize a few things. And then I hired a new CFX supervisor that tried to streamline a few things. So yeah, officially I'm in charge of that as well.
That's cool. So but it's still on rigging. It's your hardcore, I don't know how to say it like that. Your bone, main.
I mean, rigging is my first love, and so I'm head of technical animation, which is rigging and CFX. I have a CFX supervisor, but I don't have a rigging supervisor. I'm the rigging supervisor as well.
Oh, I see.
So I'm still very in rigging and
So the title is just so you need to work more than before. But I mean, must be a lot of fun. Sometimes I miss on the rigging part the shot work. I've been doing some cloth VFX on my previous company for maybe 6 months or something that I did in the past, and it was really nice to go to the dailies and check your shots and
Oh yeah, totally. It's a different world. I mean, I learned a lot because before doing that at Blur, I never really looked at CFX and wasn't really not that I was not interested in it, but it just never happened really for me to look at it. And I learned a lot, and I learned also it's the same kind of people than rigging. A lot of people can do both because it's kind of technical, but you also need to have a good eye for good deformation. And I also realized a lot of things in my rigs that I could do better to help them. Because sometimes I was rigging like a jacket or whatever, and I'm like, I don't care, it's going to be cloth seam, so I don't need to do good deformation. And then I realized how they're using my rig to drive some of the cloths.
Yes.
And I realized, oh fuck, I need to pay attention to that, and I need to make this part of the rig very solid, so because they're going to attach their cloths to that part. So it really also opened my mind a lot about the way I rig. The next thing we're trying to do, so the cloth simulation at Blur is done in Max and Maya. We're trying to move it to Maya entirely. My goal for the next year is we move rigging to Maya, and we're going to start sharing stuff between CFX and rigging, because like right now, for example, we have those characters where they're military characters, so they have a lot of gear. Like they have like ammo and a radio with cables around them. They are all geared up, and I realized that those guys, they are rigging all those extra stuff, but I already rigged them for the animation. So in the future, when we are in the same software, I will be able to share part of the rig with them, and they can reuse them inside the during the next step. So I'm looking forward to it, because I think we're going to be able to help each other a lot.
Definitely.
And
Sorry.
I'm also looking for a way to have like a cheap cloth simulation in the rig. When a character has like a little piece of cloth that needs to move. I want to find a way for the rig to take care of it, so that we don't have to sim them. Like when it's a background character, we can be smarter.
I think, for instance, for what we do, it's for cloth simulation on when it's a background character or something, we do like a fake cloth simulation that we talk. Basically, we cloth simulate everything, and like with a range of motion, I bake the cloth simulation back with the range of motion, and I trigger back as a corrective lane shape with RBF.
Yeah.
So that's background. It's working. You don't need to resimulate anything.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. I should look into that. That sounds like a good idea.
No, I'm glad I gave you a good. I feel better now. Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's very easy to do, and also like you say, we do the base deformation on. We try to do the corrective plane shapes and so on. Very like accurate or as much as we can with the cloth, and then we use the cloth itself to drive. I mean, the deformation with the correctives to drive the cloth on top, like with the driver attach or one of these, like in Cyflex was the mimic, or
Mhm.
so, and it follows quite accurately and you can paint some areas, but yeah, it's very cheap to do, but it gives some good results. Not all in all situations, but in some. Um, and by the way, for the cloth simulation thing, are you gonna aim for the encloth, or you gonna try the other plugins or something? Can you talk about that a
Uh,
bit?
yeah, we are using Qualos right now.
Qualos.
We doing some serious
Yeah.
progress with Qualos. Uh,
Um.
I'm not a specialist of that, so it's. I mean, I was with them to evaluate some of the stuff, and we still have some issue in Maya. There's a lot of things that
Mm,
because we used to do the simulation in Max, and the solver is very simple, but it's
mm,
very fast and it's very easy to use.
mhm,
NClass was definitely a challenge.
mhm,
We had a lot of issue, and the approach we had to the way we do the simulation was the scenes were very slow to load and heavy,
mm,
and we couldn't scrub the timeline, and
yeah.
but Qualos is giving us some promising results. We still have a lot of things to work on, but it's a pretty cool
Yeah,
plugin.
I did indeed. When I was working, we was using mainly Qualoth. It's really solid solver. Very interesting, especially handling intersections between cloth and things like that. It's
Yeah,
it's very strong on that area.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's probably very like top simulator. And recently, I also try it for a little, the like a beta trial on the Numerian software, Carbon Cloth. Do you know this one?
yeah. It used to be Houdini, and now they have it in Maya, right?
Yes, and this is I didn't try it as much as Qualoth on production. Obviously, I just try it at home a few hours, but it looks so good, and it's amazing fast, and it has this internal caching thing that it's really cool. I Yeah, if you have the chance to try it, just ask for the trial, because it's very impressive. And I didn't use it in production, so I don't know how how it's in production, but at least for the first test, it's very promising.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about it. I'm also very curious about the new solver in Houdini,
Uh,
Vellum.
yeah,
Uh,
Vellum. Yeah.
that has some pretty amazing demo. We started doing some tests with our FX department. I didn't see yet something that like
Uh,
it looks amazing in the demo reel. Now we
mm,
try to put it on a character that does simple things, and we couldn't get quite the results we were looking for. So
mm,
it may be because we don't know how to use it, or it may be because it's not actually quite
uh,
ready or
yeah.
for CFX. I
Uh,
do not know,
uh,
but I'm curious about it, and I'm going to keep an eye on that because it looks pretty fantastic
uh,
for other stuff.
yeah, the well, Houdini, I don't know. I didn't touch that one. Yeah, the carbon one was very nice for art directing stuff. Like it was saying like this mimicking, or like making driving one object with other and things like that. It was really cool. But yeah, with the Vellum one, it looks very powerful because it's on Houdini. So that's
Mhm.
that's probably also a big advantage. But maybe
Because
you
the next thing you want to do with cloth is, I mean, doing cloth simulation is cool, but when you can start
Mhm.
doing like cloth, tearing up cloth or interaction
Oh
of
yeah,
cloth with rigid bodies and all that
yeah,
other stuff, that's where you get like a lot of extra potential.
yes,
So I don't think you can do that
mhm,
like with uncloth or with anything else in Maya.
yeah, yeah.
So
So we just need Harvey on Houdini also.
It's possible. We started writing cross 3D for Houdini, so maybe we'll have it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'd
That
love
would
to
be
play
nice.
with Houdini in rigging. I don't know where they're at now because last time I played with it, the rigs were pretty slow.
Yeah.
But it's a cool software. I'd love to play.
Yeah, definitely. I have been talking with some people that was doing rigging with Houdini, and it has a lot of potential, but it's quite not yet there in terms
Okay.
of it lacks some basic stuff. But for what I heard, because honestly I didn't touch it. I'm trying to get someone from Side Effects on the podcast, so maybe we can get more like first-hand information and
The
see.
main issue with Houdini and rigging, it's not that Houdini cannot do rigging.
Mm,
I'm sure they're not that far away from figuring it out. It's going to
mm,
be animation in Houdini
yeah.
because those animators, they love their tools in Maya, they love the UI and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
they need to make sure that they have
Yeah.
everything else that goes with it
Yeah. Yeah.
because Maya comes with a ton of plugins,
Mm,
free or not free plugins that you can find online, and
yes.
and wow, those animators, they love their plugins, so it's going to be hard
Mm,
to get all that in Houdini right away.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think yeah. Maybe we should wrap up here. I think we hit
Yep.
almost 2 hours. Well, close to.
Really?
So I think it's there is I don't see any question on the chat. I think there is not too many people. Probably because the schedule, because the time difference was a bit strange this time.
Uh,
But it's I have a few podcasts coming that's almost same schedule because everybody's in the West Coast. You're in West Coast, no? It's
yeah,
yeah,
LA.
LA. So yeah, I have a few more people coming from the same area, so it's gonna be like some funky times. But yeah, um, yeah. Thank you so much for all this information and sharing with us all the tools and back the curtains. I don't know how to say that on Blur
Yeah.
and so on. It's. I mean, I'm super happy to have you here for many reasons. Of course, not only for show the tools, but just to talk with you. But yeah, it's been a fantastic episode, I think. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm gonna
Thank you,
just stop
Miguel.
streaming
It's fun.
this streaming here.